One person we haven't talked about yet is Freddie Mercury. Can you describe your friendship?
I don't think I'd ever met anybody like Freddie, who was larger than life, so funny, so gifted, so talented in what he wanted to do. I mean, his videos, he's used ballet dancing, and he had such an incredible mind, and was one of the funniest people I'd ever met, and was so wonderful to spend time with. Hanging out with him was a pleasure. There was no attitude, it was just a laugh. When we did Live Aid, I had this big area built backstage which everybody could come and have a drink with, all the artists on the show. And I went on before Queen, and Queen came, and I wore this ridiculous kind of hat. And Freddie came back, and they completely trounced it. I went, well, I said, no one need go on now, Freddie. You just completely and utterly swept the board, and you were absolutely brilliant. He said, yes, darling, we were. And what were you wearing? You looked like the Queen Mother. And I did. I have a house in London which wasn't too far from the house where he spent the last few weeks of his life, or years of his life. And I didn't go and see him often because I found it really, really painful, because AIDS was terrifying. And he was physically terrifying to look at. But Freddie loved collecting Japanese art and collecting at auctions. So while he was dying, he was still buying things at auction. He would be surrounded on the bed, and there'd be medicine all around him, medicine cabinets, pills, but auction catalogs. And it was astonishing. I thought, this is amazing. This man has such a love of life that he's not thinking about dying whatsoever. He's still thinking about living. And he showed no fear to me about dying, and no fear or sadness. He went round there, and you held an audience with Freddie. And I collect a painter called Henry Scott Tuke. At Christmas morning, Tony King, again, who's a link in my life, came and gave me this pillowcase. And his drag name, my drag name is Sharon, as you read in the book. And he was Rod Stewart's Phyllis, and we've all got drag names. David Bowie never had one. He was always Mrs. Bowie, and Mick was always Mrs. Jagger. But Freddie was Melina, as in Melina Mercury, the Greek actress. And in this beautiful pillowcase was this watercolor of Henry Scott Tuke. And in the note that went with it, it said, "Dear Sharon, I saw this at auction and thought you'd love it. I love you, Melina." And well, you can imagine how much I cried. And it was really moving. And he was dying, and he still thought of his friend, and he bought me this. And I still have it on its easel, and I still have the pillowcase next to my bed. That's the kind of person he was. He was so full of love and life. I don't think I've ever met anyone quite like that.